because you're sitting up.
Not really, I'm feeling very calm. I was just aware that
I think we want to like while he's talking, we'll probably cut to you smiling at something, even if it's not in that moment.
Okay.
So like,
just have to remind us again.
First photo mentorship, okay. I got it.
Oh, you got
it's
it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Otherwise, how was it?
Yeah, good.
Yeah. I'm enjoying it. Are you enjoying it?
Yeah. What are your major challenges as a photographer in Kenya right now?
Well, as an up-and-coming photographer, I think the hardest thing I'm facing right now is building a portfolio, right? You are reached out to by corporates, you're reached out to by people who want weddings, but it seems like they're already professionals in that space that have carved their niche and have carved their pricing. So I'm also facing the issue of kind of finding where my art meets the career, per se. So I shoot only in monochrome. I don't think everyone wants their weddings shot in black and white. Maybe you have beautiful colors and you want to kind of show that off, but kind of being able to cross into a space where you're a career person as a photographer, keeping the roof over your head and paying the rent and all of that jazz, and being able to expressly use this medium as an art form, right, and as an avenue of expression is kind of challenging for me. Honestly, I think it's just the pay as well, if we're being honest, and we're going to talk candidly about it. How many clients are willing to pay in the thousands of dollars for work? How many are willing to sponsor assignments? Is there anyone who's doing assignments right now? And if it's not the NGOs or external companies, right? I don't see any local movements really looking out there to build narratives and looking at photography as more than just taking a shot for some profiles.
It's got to start with passion. And you have got to have that inspiration. You've got to want to do it, and you have to be aware of the hustle. Like, it's a hustle, for sure. Like, my bread and butter is a hustle. But then my passion projects for Weekend Studio, this one in Kibera, was like a total passion project. I literally
every Sunday dedicated,
100% for a whole year. And then I entered it into a whole bunch of competitions and I got paid back every single bean.
There you go.
Yeah.
This is the universe just like giving you thanks.
Yeah, direct
amazing.
karma. Yeah, that was really amazing. Is there such thing as African photography? What is it and where do you think it's going?
I think that's a great question. I think anyone doing anything on the continent should count as African photography. I think anyone telling their stories that feels African is African photography. I don't like that when it comes to the context of Africa, we're always having these segmented and very boxed in culture conversations. What is African, what is not? I think it's time for us to just open up the field, right, and accept all kinds of narratives that are being shared, all kinds of images that are being shared, and take that as is. Let people tell their own stories. And if they feel that it's authentically African, if they feel that it's representing who they are, that's what African photography might be. But you might have a different idea, I don't know.
But what African photographers like really inspire you?
Right now?
Yeah.
Joshua Kisi, for example, he's out of Ghana. We have Yagazi Emezi, out of, she's Liberian, currently living in Nigeria. And she has pushed the narrative a lot. Very gritty, very spectacular style. And the convergence between their photography, for me, is that they're going out and finding stories that people would not normally tell. So, for example, Kissy is doing a lot of work in the diaspora, right? And so if a photo is not taken here, but you have, for example, Ghanaians living in the UK or living in the US, does that not then, inform the narrative of African photography? Whereas Yagazi is doing a lot of work on sexuality and the changing landscape of identity and how that might affect people's different lives. So, given those two examples, I believe that where we are right now is we have a unique opportunity to tell our own stories, and we need to own that as much as we can.
Yeah.